Hello friends. Now in the previous sessions, we have already discussed about the working at height, but that working at height was the general concept which was utilized in the industries. Then there are different equipments or the tools which are used for working at height, different safety precautionary measures and different standard guidelines were discussed in that session. Now in this session, we are going to discuss about the working at height safety precautionary measures related to the construction work, and that too with specific construction work only. So we are going to discuss about the formwork initially. So what is formwork? Formwork is a mold including all supporting structures used to shape and support the concrete until it attains sufficient strength to carry its own weight. So it is a type of mold. So we know the mold structure for the plastic. So normally we are knowing about the plastic molding. So in the same way, this mold is included the supporting structure, and we have to decide the shape and support. So depending on the type of construction work, we have to give the design of that formwork. So it should be capable of carrying all imposed dead and live loads apart from its own weight, and normally it is of steel and timber material. So nowadays fiberglass is also used for making this formwork. So this is the photograph of timber formwork. That is the old design and famous design for the construction activity. Then this is a steel formwork. So what are the general characteristics of this formwork? So formwork has been in the use since the beginning of the concrete constructions. So even before the concrete is utilized in the construction, we were utilized this formwork. So generally that timber formwork were used, and then the metal or the steel formwork is going to be used. And nowadays the fiberglass is also used for this formwork. So these new materials such steel, plastic, fiberglass are used. Greater attention is being given to the design, fabrication, erection, and dismantling of the work. So we have to design this formwork, we have to mold this formwork in a such a way that fabrication should be easy, erectioning and commissioning part should be easy, the assembling and dismantling part should be easy, and it should be consume very less time to assemble and disassemble of this formwork. So we have to think about all these things while finalizing the design of this formwork. And in order to successfully carry out its functions, formwork must achieve the balancing of some of the parameters. So we have to think about the containment, we have to think about the strength of that formwork, resistance to leakage, then accuracy, ease of handling, finished and reuse potential, access for concrete, and economy. So that is nothing but the cost of that formwork. So that should be cheap or at least at the optimum cost. So we have to balance all these parameters for purchasing or finalizing the designs of this formwork. So what is containment? In the containment point, the formwork must be capable of shaping and supporting the fluid concrete until it cures, because nowadays most of the construction activities are with the help of concrete mixture. So if we are using this concrete, then we have to think about the shaping and supporting of this formwork. So that should be supported by that design or that structure. Then we have to use this formwork, and that should be adjustable one, that should be in a such a way that the leveling, then easing and the striking without the damage should be possible with the help of this formwork. So that is the point is called as ease of handling. So that should be very easy to handle all these types of formwork. Then the strength of this formwork should be think of, because we are using the concrete, we are using water, and we are using the labors. So all the weight, if you think about the weight of fluid, weight of concrete, weight of labors, weight of equipments or the tools which are used by the labors, and the environmental loading. So we have to think about all these things. That is why the strength of the formwork is very important. And then economy, obviously, that we know that the metal structure, fiberglass, or if the heavy or strengthened material timbers is used, then the formwork is very expensive. Generally, an average about 35% of the total cost of any finished concrete unit or element can be attributed to its formwork. So all the total cost of this finished concrete unit, and if you calculate this 35% of this cost, that is equivalent to that cost of that formwork. And out of that, 40% can be taken for the material and for formwork, and 60% for the labor. So this is the general guideline for the cost of the formwork. And that is why we have to think that the design and the material of this formwork in a such a way that we have to reuse this formwork to minimize the costing. And also we have to think about the minimizing of the time taken for the erection and striking. So these are some of the guidelines and the characteristics of this formwork. The specific objective of this formwork is related to the quality, safety, and economy. So related to the quality, so the formwork must be designed and built in such a way that it should have the sufficient stiffness and accuracy so that the size, shape, position, and finish of the cast concrete are maintained. Then from the safety point of view, it should have sufficient strength and factor of safety so that they have to capable of all the supporting loads, because we have already discussed about the environmental loads, the labor loads, the tool loads, equipment loads, concrete load, or the other fluids which are used in the construction work. So all these load should be carried out by this formwork. And obviously the economy, so that should be optimum in the costing, and that should minimize the time for striking and erecting. Then these are the basic requirements related to the formwork, that material should be cheap and reusable. It should be practically waterproof so that it should not absorb water from the concrete. Then swelling and shrinkage should be minimum, strong enough to withstand all external loads. Deflection should be minimum. Then surface should be smooth and afford easy striping. Then light in weight so that easy to transfer. Joint should be stiff so that the lateral deformation and leak is minimum. So no leakage and waterproof and lightweight and easy to handle. These are some of the requirements about the formwork. So there are 3 stages in this process of this formwork, that is called as assembly and erection. Second one is concrete placement, and third one is stripping and dismantling. So these are the steps which are used related to the formwork in the concrete unit. That is nothing but the constructions. That construction may be of building, or maybe of bridges, or maybe of residential apartments or some commercial apartments. So the formwork detail for these different structural members are in concrete construction formwork is commonly provided for the following structural members. The structural members are wall, column, slabs and beams, stairs and chimneys, water tanks and cooling towers. So these are the different structural members related to the formwork. So this is formwork for wall. So it consists of timber sheets. So from this photograph you can understand from this sketch, this is the timber sheeting. Then this is the vertical post. So we can understand this vertical post. Then horizontal members, then rackers, stacks and wedges. So from the sketch itself, you can understand what is the function of each and every element of this formwork for the wall. Then this is the formwork for column. So it consists of side and end planks. So this is the end planks. This is the side planks. Then yoke and nut bolt arrangement. So two end and two side planks are joined by the yokes and bolts. So this is another mold or formwork that is specially for the column. So previous one for the wall, now this is for the column. So this is the photograph of the formwork which is used for columns. Now, the main thing in the construction work is concrete. So anyone who works around big or heavy concrete slab should be aware of the hazards or the danger related to the concrete. Generally, the contractors, subcontractors and their casual wages workers are involved in these construction activities, but they must know about the potential to cause the severe harm related to these concretes, because they are actually working on the platforms and they are handling these concretes. So there are mainly two types of concretes, that is dry concrete and wet concretes. So dry concretes mainly involve the cement or the cement dust, which is packed in 50 kg bags. So that handling and their safety precautions and hazards are different characteristics, and the wet concrete is also having the different hazardous characteristics. So with the handling of this dry and wet concrete, there may be a significant damage possible in the type of work. So from these photographs, you can understand which type of concrete and the pouring of concrete, mixing of concrete, spreading of concrete, then pouring of concrete in different parts, that may be on the floor, that may be in the part of construction of the column, or that may be in the part of chimneys, etc. So all the activities should be done within the prescribed time, because after some time this concrete becomes solid part or the dry concrete. Then that fluid characteristics are going to vanish after a specific time period. So what are the rules or the safety requirements related to these concretes? So everyone who works with the concrete should be aware of the required safety regulations. Mainly the OSHA regulations are given. In that, the specific guideline is related to the PPE, that is personal protective equipment. So if you are handling this dry or wet concretes, then we have to wear the gloves and the safety glasses. And also there should be a provision of eye wash station, because in case of the contact of these concretes to the skin or to the face or to the eyes, then we have to utilize this eye wash station for washing that particular part of our body to wash that concrete. So there are various hazards or the risk involved in the concretes. The first is mixing risk. So we know that concrete is nothing but the mixture. So that is the general mixture of cement dust, then sand, water, and some crushed stones. So that is depending on the concrete construction, but these are the major elements. So this cement dust, or generally we called it as concrete dust, it can cause breathing problems, because this dust is having the size in a respirable suspended particulate matter level. So this is the RSPM criteria, and the size of that cement dust in a such a way that we are going to breathe this dust if it is available in the breathing area. So again, that can cause lung issues, and which can cause a temporary or permanent damage to our lungs after inhalation for the longer time and for the number of frequently um, intervals. So second risk is pouring risk. So when we have done the mixture or prepared this mixture, so we have to pour this mixture to that particular part where the construction is going on. So initially this mixture is of slippery characteristics. So concrete can be slippery until it dries. So that is the characteristics of that wet concrete mixture. So due to these slippery characteristics, there is another danger, that is the slipping and falling hazard. Then there is another characteristics of this wet concrete, that is called as alkaline properties. So this wet cement is having the alkaline property, so it can be caustic, and caustic is dangerous to the skin and eyes or the face area, where this caustic can react with the skin or react with the eyes, and there may be a chances of third degree burn when it is contacted with the skin, and if it is contacted with the eyes, then there is a next problem with that eyes, because in the eyes we are having the acidic fluid, and if it is contacted with this alkaline product, then there may be a reaction between this acid and alkali, and you may have faced the problem of the blindness to that worker, because after some time this product or this reaction is going to end, and then your vision is going to decrease. Then next risk is drying risk. So approximate more than 800 pounds weight is there due to this concrete structure on the slab, and that is why there is a risk for tipping, shifting and falling on those around them. So that is the different risk related to the concretes, and these are the general dangers related to the concretes. If you are working with the concretes, so some of the dangers are workers falling onto concrete slabs, then workers being crushed by the slabs falling from the cranes or the forklifts, then workers getting pinned between the concrete slabs, workers suffering head stroke while cleaning truck mixer drums, then workers being impaled on rubber sticking out of the concrete slabs, then workers getting caught in concrete mixers or covered with the concrete, and workers being burned or blinded by the concrete chemicals due to the alkaline properties or the caustic properties. Workers suffering back injuries from the lifting heavy concrete slabs, and these are the different dangers which are related to the concrete. So if any worker is going to complain related to this back pain or some irritation to the skin, irritation to the eyes or some other issues, then we have to take care about these guidelines or the safety or precautionary measures while working in the concrete. So these are some of the guidelines specifically for the dry concrete as well as for the wet concrete. So related to the dry concretes, so dry concrete can irritate the eyes, nose and throat as well as the skin, and there may be a chances of silicosis or the lung cancer due to the silica dust. As this cement is made up of silica, so there may be a chances of silicosis also. So what are the safety precautions for handling these dry concretes? So we have to use the eye stretcher or eye bottles, and we have to flush the eyes with the help of water. So flushing of eyes, that is one of the safety precautionary measures. Then washing your hands with the soap and water. So to minimize or to nullify the effect of this caustic or alkaline cement, we have to use the soap and plenty of water for washing our hands. To avoid the silicosis or lung diseases or to avoid the respiration of this dry concrete or the cement, in our respiration systems, we have to utilize N95 respirators. Then when taking a break on construction, eat or drink in dust-free areas. That is the recommendations to avoid the ingesting any cement dust. So these are related to the dry concrete. Now related to the wet concretes. As we know that wet properties are there, it means moisture or the water is present. So obviously the risk which are related to the respirable suspended particulate matter or this RSPM property concrete or cement dust is going to minimize, and that is why many hazards are going to minimize due to this wet properties. But still there are some properties with wet concrete and there may be some hazards. So for that purpose, we have to take care related to the handling of these wet concretes. So some of the safety precautions are to protect your skin and eyes, wear alkali resistance gloves, because we already discussed that these wet concretes are having the alkaline properties, that is nothing but the caustic. So we have to wear alkali resistance gloves. Then long sleeves are preferred, long pants are also preferred to avoid the skin contacts, right? So if possible, waterproof boots and eye protection should be also provided to our body parts. So it is good practice to keep the extra gloves and safety glasses at construction sites. So when wet concrete makes contact with the skin, it can result in severe chemical burns. So if this happened to you, wash the contaminated skin areas with cold water and non-alkaline soap, as well as possible to prevent the skin damage. And then we have to wash this face or eyes for at least 15 minutes with the help of eye wash station or eye wash bottles. If your this skin or the face or the eyes is contacted with this wet concretes. And after that, if the irritation or the complaint of that worker is continue, then we have to visit that doctor or the hospitals. So these are some of the guidelines for the dry concrete and wet concretes. Now, this is another part in the construction site that is called as cofferdams. So we have learned about the formwork, then we have learned about the concrete structures and some of the safety precautionary measures. Now from this photograph, you can understand what exactly this cofferdam means, right? So what is the cofferdam? Cofferdams are temporary enclosures to keep out water and soil so as to permit dewatering and construction of permanent facility in the dry. So we are going to provide the structure, we are going to provide the temporary enclosures, and this enclosure is going to utilize to keep out the water and soil. That is the main objective or the purpose of this cofferdams. So a cofferdams involves the interaction of the structure, soil and the water. So the loads imposed include the hydrostatic forces of the water, because in this picture you can understand in some of the cofferdams this water is surrounded and this water is going to produce the hydrostatic force on this cofferdams. Sometimes the cofferdams are separated or isolated by the cofferdams of by the water to avoid these hydrostatic forces also. But whenever it is not possible, then we have to calculate these hydrostatic forces of water also for the calculation of design purpose. Then dynamic forces are also there due to the currents and waves. So we have to think about these hydrostatic as well as dynamic forces while designing these cofferdams. In construction of the cofferdams, maintaining close tolerances is difficult since these cofferdams are usually constructed offshore and sometimes under severe weather conditions, because the main objective of that coffer dam is to avoid the water and soil contacts. And for that purpose, generally these coffer dams are constructed on the offshore and sometimes in the severe weather conditions. So in these circumstances, significant deformation means due to these forces, due to these unexpected changes in the weather conditions or in the waves or the ocean water, there may be a chances of changes in the shapes and sizes of these coffer dams. So we have to think about these deformations. So significant deformation of coffer dams elements may be happen during the course of construction, and therefore it may be necessary to deviate from the design dimensions in order to complete the project according to plan. So in the design dimensions, we have to think about these hydrostatic forces, we have to think about these dynamic forces, we have to think about these deformation possibilities or the worst cases, and then only we have to think about the dimensions of this coffer dams designs. So in coffer dam construction, safety is a paramount concern since workers will be exposed to the hazards of flooding and collapse. Because these are the main hazard, there may be a chances of flooding because water is surrounded to these coffer dams, and due to the external or additional forces or unexpected circumstances, there may be a chances of entering this water into this coffer dam structure. So there may be a chances of flooding, and sometimes if the forces are more, especially I'm talking about the hydrostatic forces, if the forces are more as per the expectations or the average calculations, then there may be a chances of collapse. So if this coffer dam is collapsed, then there may be a chances of fatalities, because we have very less chance to isolate these workers or to remove these workers from these coffer dam structures. So there are different types of coffer dams, like first is braced, second is earth type, third is deeper creep, and fourth one is double wall sheet pipe. So in the braced coffer dam, it is formed from a single wall of sheet piling which is driven into the ground to form a box around the excavation site. So we are going to prepare this box. So if it is box type, then it is called as brace type coffer dam. So the box is then braced on the inside and the interior is de-water. So it is primarily used for the bridges, piers in shallow waters, normally 30 to 35 feet depth. So if you want to see this brace type, you can understand from this photograph. So this is the brace type coffer dam. The second one is earth type. It is the simplest type of coffer dam. It consists of an earth bank with a clay core or vertical sheet piling enclosing the excavation. It is used for the low level waters with low velocity and easily scored by water rising over the top. So this is the specific functioning and the specific requirement of the earth type coffer dam. So this is earth type coffer dam that is at the low level. So you can understand what exactly the earth type coffer dam is. The third one is timber creep. So construction on land and floated into place. Lower portion of each cell is matched with the contour of river bed. It uses rock ballast and soil to decrease the seepage and sink into the place, and also known as gravity dam. So it usually consists of 12-inch by 12-inch cells, and it is used in the rapid currents or on a rocky river beds. It must be properly designed to resist the lateral forces such as tipping and overturning and sliding. So it is specially designed for the river structure and it is called as gravity dam. So this is timber creep coffer dams. Then double wall sheet pile. So they are double wall coffer dams. So comprising of different structures. You can understand from this photograph. They are having double walls. So these are the different cofferdams. Now in the construction or that the construction site, we are using various machineries and equipment for this construction works. And due to these machineries and equipment, because mainly these machineries are heavy machineries and equipments are also heavy equipments. So there is a hazard related to this handling of these machineries and equipments. So at the construction site, in many cases, there are various facilities to provide for controlling these accidents or incidents while handling these machinery and equipment. Especially we have to take care about the movement of these machineries and equipments, and some of the data clearly showing that there are various fatal accidents. In the 2004 US clearly mentioning the 4,679 fatal accidents or occupational injuries are there, and in the 2020-21 also, if you think about these fatal accidents, some of the injuries or some disablement cases in the construction site, then you can understand we have to take care about these machineries and equipment while handling at the construction site. So there are various machines or the construction machines at the construction sites. So sometimes we have to utilize these small machines, sometimes we have to utilize the extraction or the loading machines. Sometimes we have to utilize these extraction machines or specific loading machines, finishing machines, adjustment machines, compacting machines, transport machines, handling machines, and out of the production machines for loading, trial, and maintenance. So depending on the construction's requirement, we have to utilize these different types of machines, which is categorized in the 10 parts. So these are the different categories, that is the tractors and small mobile construction machines, then extraction or loading by sequential displacement, extraction by alternative displacement, then loading by alternative displacement, slow moving finishing, adjustment by alternative displacement, compacting by alternative displacement, transport or extraction transport, handling, out of production, etc. And due to these categories, there are different examples of these machineries. So like mini excavator, mini loaders, small compactors and machines, then shovels, foundation machines, drilling machines, bulldozers, crawler tractors, loaders, then backhoe loaders, lime spreaders, finishers, graders, compactors, dumper, forklifts, and trough trailers, etc. So these are the various categories or the different categories of the construction machines. So we know many of the machineries, and we also discuss these machineries is one of the sessions. So I'm going to skip the details of all these types of machineries. So for the constructions site, in the construction activity, this bulldozer is one of the machinery for the leveling of the ground. Then this is the scraper. So especially most representative machines for major earthwork. Then this is excavator, that is also called as hydraulic mechanic shovels. Then this is earth moving machine, that is called as loader. This is backhoe loader. So that is the combination of wheel loader and an excavator. Then this is steamroll or compactor. So we are going to use this vibrating plate compactors to compact this earth or the material on the road or that construction site. Then it is a grader. So what are the safety risks which is associated with the construction? So there are main 4 risks or the hazards which is Normally it is called as fatal 4 in the construction site. So what is fatal 4? Fatal means that is death. So this is the leading cause of deaths in the construction industry. Why this fatal 4? So there are 4 points or the elements. So the 4 elements are falls from the heights, being struck by an object, electrocution, and caught inside or compressed by equipment or the objects. So these are the 4 elements due to which there is a chances of fatality at the construction site. That is why it is called as fatal 4. Then other hazards or the injuries are slips, trips, and falls. So there may be a chances of these slips, trips, and falls at the construction site. Then there is a chances of falls from the heights. So there are some statistical data which clearly gives you the idea that more than 300 construction workers die each year and more than 10,000 more are seriously injured by falls from the heights. So some data may be related to the other countries, some data may be related to the our country, or whatever it may be, but the hazard should be identified, and then we have to think about the precautionary measures. So there may be a chances of falls from the openings or edges, roof work, unstable materials, from ladders, from scaffolds, from places of work on an existing facilities, and on the stairways. So these are the different examples for the falls from heights. Then falling objects. So we know that workers are using various tools and equipments at the construction site. So there is a chances of falling of objects. So from an upper level or from the equipment, from the collapse of structure, and debris from the trench collapse. So these are the variety of examples from the falling objects. Then there may be a chances of electric shock and arc flash or arc blast. So poorly maintained electrical equipment or work near or overhead power line put workers at the risk. So if that is not maintained properly, then there may be chances of electric shock, and it is one of the factor of fatal 4. Then machinery risk include rollover of large construction equipments, objects falling onto the equipment, and malfunctioning safety and other warning devices on the large vehicles. Then failure to use PPE, that is personal protective equipments. So PPE protects employees against falling objects, debris, chemical and biological exposure, and moving vehicles. Then repetitive motion injuries, there are temporary or permanent injuries to the muscles, nerves, ligaments, and tendons caused by performing the same motion over and over again, because many of the workers are having the job profile in such a way that they are going to use the same work or the same motion on the repetitive basis. Then there is a hazard that is called as noise. Loud, repetitive, and excessive noise causes long-term hearing problems such as deafness and tinnitus. So these are the variety of hazards which may be present at the construction site. And these are the construction safety equipments. So how to reduce this hazard, how to reduce this risk? So we can reduce the risk at the construction site by utilizing the different safety equipments like helmets or hard hats. So we are going to reduce the risk with the related to the falling objects or related to the head injuries, which are very common in the construction sites. So hard hats also protect the workers from the striking head injuries, as well as protect workers from the rain, direct sun rays, and electric shocks. Then high vis clothing, that is called as high vision or more vision clothing. The use of high visibility clothing reduces the chances of a struck by accidents, because that is another element of the fatal 4 again. So we can avoid this struck by accident by using this high vis clothing. Then safety footwear, slip, trips and falls are common accidents at job sites. So falls from the heights are of particular concern in the construction industry. So every worker on the construction site should wear anti-skid or gripping boots and steel or composite toe boots to prevent the foot injury from the falling objects. Then we can protect the ear by using the ear protecting devices. We are also can reduce the noise exposure or noise hazard with the help of these ear plugs or ear muffs. Then we can protect our eyes and face with the help of eyes and face protecting devices like goggles or some of the specific safety glasses, VR faces mask or welding shields, chemical splash goggles, dust goggles, etc. So depending on the construction environment, we have to use these types of PPEs. Then gloves, using heavy duty gloves while working helps workers avoid hand injuries like cuts and burns. These type of gloves can be utilized and depending on the task also. So if there is a alkaline or caustic wet concrete is there or some other chemicals, we have to use the resistance to alkali gloves. Then wheel chocks. So choking all vehicle wheels when not in use or parked on an incline can prevent unintentional movements. So warning whips should be there. So warning whips on smaller equipment can increase the visibility. Then cable protectors. So cable protection systems provide a safe method of passing traffic while protecting valuable electrical cables, cords, and hose lines from the damage. So we can utilize all these types of safety equipments to protect our body parts, and we can reduce the hazards or the risk which is available at the construction site. Now this is related to the tower cranes. So it is another part of the construction again, because we are utilizing these tower cranes, especially for the high-rise buildings or the main construction or the major constructions. And at the major construction sites, there is always possibility of hazards which are related to the tower cranes. So what are the precautionary measures related to the tower cranes? A safe system of work should be established and documented by the owner. Such system should be followed for every lifting operation, whether it is an individual lift or a series of repetitive operations. So this safe system of work should be prepared and endorsed by the owner with the advice of the competitive person, then safety officer and other relevant personnel. The same principle should be applied whether the lifting operations are carried out at construction site or the crane is a permanent fixture, example in a factory or at a dock. The safe system of work should be effectively communicated to all the parties concerned by the owner. So we know, we hear and we saw also the different news related to the tower crane collapse, etc. And that is why we must also take care about all these types of precautionary measures related to the tower cranes. Then there are certain temporary installations or the structures are also involved in the construction sites. So these structures are infinitely variable in the design, types, size, and materials. So there may be a different materials are also used for making these structures like wood or metal or glass fiber, etc. So from the simple to very complex structures are also there. There may be assembled and configured with the pre-engineered components such as scaffolding, trusses, platforms, etc., or any combination thereof. So may or may not have a roof, wall elements, or bleacher sittings. So there are variety of different temporary installations and structures. Generally, the structures include the elevated platforms, pre-engineering multi-use units such as fabric tents, mobile stages on transport carriers, inflatables, portable or semi-portable single or multifunctional structures, custom temporary structures, structure used to hand equipments. And these structures are used to facilitate the construction of buildings, bridges, tunnels, and other above and below ground facilities by providing the access, supports, and the protection for the facilities which is under construction, as well as assuring the safety of the workers. So depending on the conditions also, we have to utilize these temporary installations of the structures. So these structures are either dismantled and removed when the permanent work becomes self-supporting or completed, or they are incorporated into the finished work. So these structures are also used in the inspection, repair, and maintenance work also. So there are variety of applications and uses of these temporary installations and structures. So these are some of the examples of these temporary structures for the permanent structures. So we have to take care about these temporary structures also. So there are variety of these temporary structures like cofferdams, earth retaining structures, tunneling supports, underpinning, diaphragm or slurry walls, roadway decking, construction ramps, runways and platforms, scaffolding, shoring, false work, concrete formwork, bracing and guying, sidewalk bridge, other site protection structures, related primary literatures, additional readings can be utilized by the students so that they can have the different temporary structures ideas and their precautionary measures. So this is all about the safety precautionary measures and different concepts related to the construction work, especially at the working at height. Thank you.